Yeah, so it's been like a year since I made a video, but it's fucking spooky month. I have a bit of a cold. I just got off of work. I may be a tiny bit concussed, and I felt like doing this shit. So, yeah, here we are. Today I figured I would just do one of my favorite looks, one of the first sort of looks that I did in special effects makeup, which is just a general, you just got the shit beaten out of you look. I'm going to actually combine two things that I've done before. Hopefully this isn't going to be over ambitious because it's like fucking 10:20 p.m. and I do also work tomorrow and the next 9 days straight. But anyway, so we're going to do a general beaten up face look, a couple of splits, black eye, broken nose. None of it's going to be overly realistic because that's not what we actually care about on this channel. So materials that you will need, you'll need of course fake blood, glue, other glue, bunch of fucking brushes and shit, and one of those inappropriate looking things. Lip liner and eyeliner, maybe. Foundation, definitely. And then a bunch of just bruisey colors. You might have all of these in one palette. I don't know. I ain't got shit organized. You might be better at that than me. You're probably better at that than me. So yeah, let's start that tutorial. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pick where we're doing what on our face. So I'm gonna go for a little split in the forehead there. That's also close to where I bashed myself in the skull a couple days ago, and yeah, don't stand up into metal signs, it's a bad idea. Gonna do another little split there. And we're going to also do a bit of a broken nose. There-ish. That probably didn't need to be marked out, but honestly, yeah, whatever. So now that we picked where we're sculpting things, I'm just gonna put down a base coat of school glue. Just your basic white non-toxic glue, because it turns out all of the glue I have for sculpting causes my skin to want to fall off. And that's not a good thing, because I work customer service and people complain if I have massive open sores on my face. Which sounds like a joke, but genuinely people have gotten complaints at work for things that are not at all their fault relating to their skin condition. So I'm gonna endeavor to not be that person. We are going to do 2 or 3 coats of that base just to make sure that it actually forms a full barrier between my skin and the sculpting. Okay, so I just went off and finished up those other 2 coats of the base coat, school glue. And I also fixed the lighting situation, so it's a lot more uncomfortable for me because I'm looking like almost directly into a light, but it should look better on the camera. So now that the locations are marked out and we have our base coat down, we can go in with actually sculpting the injuries. Now this one's not too much of a sculpting thing, it's more about painting and the bruising, but there is still a little bit to be done, especially with the broken nose. So I'm going to start with the forehead piece. And you're just going to basically build up a little bump along the line of what you want. And this is just smushed up glue sticks put into a piping bag. And then just taking a little sculpting tool, this I got for free from a friend. Just gonna sculpt out those edges, smooth it down a bit. You can use water as well to help smooth it better. I'm a bit of a monster, so I just use spit. I'd not recommend using spit if you're doing this piece on someone else. They might protest. Or they might not, in which case you made a very special friend. And then because this we want a smooth look, for the final smoothing I am just going to use my finger. Just because the little wooden tool, can leave some ridges. And you don't want ridges when you're trying to look fucking brutal. So now that we have our little bump, which I don't even know if you can see on the camera, what we're gonna do is just put a little cut, little Y cut in the middle. That's gonna be where we split our skin due to blunt force trauma. And that will touch up again later on. I'm gonna do the same thing for this mark here. I'm just gonna speed through that and then we'll go on to the broken nose. Okay, now, broken nose. Broken nose is basically the same thing we've been doing for the incision sites, except for this one's gonna have no little crack in it and it's gonna have no blood. It's going to be a lot more in the bruise coloring that you do on it. And basically we're just offsetting one lump higher, one lump lower. It's not gonna look like what a real broken nose looks like because honestly, those aren't as dramatic. We're going for something that makes people like squirm and flinch away. And if I do it right, it should. I might fuck it up. Probably fuck it up. So we go for one lump, just a nice little blob there, nice little blob there. These guys I am just gonna sculpt with my finger entirely because I don't really want to be doing this near my eye. It's not scary, just I'm really clumsy and probably will stab myself. Okay, so now we have some weird lumps on our face, and this is basically the foundation that we're going to paint, and then we will be done with our look. I'm just gonna go use a hairdryer on my face in order to cure these. If you don't want to use a hairdryer, you have to wait like 20 minutes or so that the glue's not quite as sticky. Alright, so now that those are cured so they're not quite as sticky and they're not gonna get all fucked up when we're applying things to them, we're going to start with foundation application. I honestly buy all of this shit at the dollar store. I think I have one or two things that are samples from a little makeup sample kit. But the real color match doesn't matter that much. Being your like rough skin tone is fine. But realistically, most of this is getting covered with bruise painting after this anyway. So get like pinkish if you're pinkish, I guess. So you can see there that my foundation's not exactly like the best match in the world. But doesn't really matter because I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna paint all of that shit with bruise colors anyway. So for my bruises, I have an assortment of lip colors and eyeshadows and blushes. And really, you're just gonna wanna have fun. Some people go for hyperrealism. I've mentioned before, I don't really care about hyperrealism. I care about a looking good and looking fun. So that means my bruises are usually like a lot darker and bluer than bruises really are because, I don't know, realism is great if that's what you need for your look, but I'm not a professional, I'm just sort of fucking around. Chances are if you're watching a tutorial by Glue Stick FX, you're also just fucking around and you want things to look fancy and pretty and a little bit fucking grotesque. So that's what we do here. Fancy and pretty and a little grotesque. Yeah, so I'm also doing a bit of a black eye look, because that's pretty easy. Basically trace something purple and bluish and brownish and greenish just in the bags, dark bags under your eyes. Make yourself look more tragic than you already are, which, if you work retail, you should be halfway to this look at any point in the day, really. Okay, so now that you've done your bruise painting, and to varying levels of success, honestly, every time I do it, it looks completely fucking different and doesn't really matter anyway. The next step, and I think it's the final step. Yeah, the final step is to apply fake blood, because no fucking Glue Stick FX look is complete without fake blood. I think I've done literally 2 without any blood in them, and they both looked pretty awful. Fake blood fixes everything. Now there isn't actually a lot of blood in this one, just little touches in that cut in the forehead. And the cut on the cheek. So I did just run off to grab one more type of blood because that one's a little bit cherry red. I still have to color adjust it fully. This one is a very, very old, very dark one, so I'm not honestly sure how this is going to turn out. But I am going to attempt just a little, there we go, a little blood in those little cuts that we carved in there. And with this one, I am just gonna let it flow over a tiny bit. So we have those 2 perfect tracks of blood. So then this is your final look. I know, it's super beautiful. Everyone wants to go out in public like this. I actually did do this for Halloween a few years ago. Had some very concerned drunk guys thinking I'd gotten into an actual fight. But But anyway, yeah, this is one of my favorite looks to do. I was super bored and work is awful. And I just wanted to do something for fun, and it's October, so why the fuck not? So yeah, I don't really know why anyone would do this. I don't even know why I do this. But fuck it. Maybe you enjoyed this. Feel free to like or comment or whatever. If anyone has any requests for any looks that they like to see me do. I have done a whole bunch of looks over on my Instagram, which is also GlueStickFX. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. And I might even do another tutorial in less than a year. Who fucking knows, really?